What's up, everybody? This is your girl Racquel with Racqi Road TV. Candid Stories of My Soul. We have a special guest today. You may know her as Owl369 on TikTok. Stay with us, and we have an exceptional show for you today. Much love and peace to all watching and or listening to Candid Stories of My Soul podcast with myself as the host, RacquelShelby. From the moment we take our first breath and every experience that follows builds us up and creates the individuals we are today. In life, we will experience both the good and the bad because in order for balance to exist, both must coexist. There cannot be good without bad, nor can there be chaos without peace. We are souls experiencing humanity. The Creator is the author of it all. Whether we believe in a God source or not, He is within us all and is present at all times, embedded in us like our DNA. You will get to audibly witness many journeys of individuals as they are living, breathing, and ever-growing documentaries in the flesh. Many will attest to how the Creator was there, and many of these accounts will be mind-blowing. Please share with your family and friends and enjoy the message we have for you today. We're back. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'll go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us know what platforms you are, what services you offer, what do you do, what do you regard yourself as. Let the collective know because you're a wonderful young lady, very talented, very gifted in the spiritual sense. You're very needed in the community. So let us know what you got going on.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, when I first got into my spirituality, I was a Satanist. But as I grow more, I would consider myself like a occultist, mainly a shadow worker. So I see how it's very much needed in the community, where a lot of people need to get more in touch with the divine feminine half of themselves, their inner child. So I tend to offer services based on that, whether it's subconscious work, chakra reprogramming, or just, spell work, because sometimes the ritual is needed to help the subconscious get moving to remove some blockages. I'm available on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Also, I have a Facebook group called the Vision Owls, if you'd like to join that. I don't like to really call myself a spiritual teacher. I like to say I'm more of a spirit guide because most people just really need guidance. They don't really need instructions or constant utility what to do.
Well, y'all hear it. She offers a lot. See, I wasn't playing. She is powerful. So how do you feel about the spiritual community as it stands today? And in your opinion, what do you feel that it lacks or what should be changed or just what do you feel in general?
How would I explain it? I have a lot of emotions when it comes to the spiritual community. I see how it's helpful, how it's destructive, and where it needs improvement and what doesn't need to really continue, in a sense. Mm-hmm. Like, I understand everyone's perspective. That's kind of why I call myself the owl, in a sense, because I see multiple perspectives all at once, and I can kind of understand where everyone comes from. From black and white thinking to very split thinking. But let's start with the bad of the spiritual community. I noticed how, unfortunately, there is a lot of desperate souls that are looking for help, but there's so many scammers and so many people that acquire this knowledge just to take advantage of people. It's heartbreaking. That's really the only reason why I got into offering my gifts to begin with, because honestly, I would just keep it to myself because I needed it the most. Haven't come from the best background, so I needed the healing the most. But then Spirit was like, hey, there's some people like you that haven't gotten the gifts and opportunities like we helped you with. So I think it's time for you to share it, because there's someone out there that needs your help. Now, I didn't think there was thousands of people that need my help, but I figured it was like maybe a handful, maybe 4 or 5 people. You know how in the movies where there's like a group of individuals that need help to change the world or the globe. That's what I thought was happening. That's not what they were talking about. I've seen it from mainly the occultist perspective of how the Kabbalah, in a sense, how those particular subjects are very male-dominated, and how they really turn that particular area of study into a very toxic way of thinking. So to the point where when you enter those groups, you almost get shunned when you try and introduce them to their feelings or emotions or the feminine side. Because I've gotten backlash about that too. When I post something in these occult groups about my findings of the Kabbalah, like, hey, this is what I've gotten from Pluto today, or this is what I got from Kepler today, I get a round of applause. But let me post something about healing your mother lobe, or getting in touch with your heart chakra, or something that is a more higher realm chakra than the sacral and the solar. They get very quiet, I've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And that just shows to me how a lot of people don't get into this work for the general healing of finding themselves. A lot of people get into this work for, I wouldn't say bad intentions, but they get into this work but don't. My apologies, I'm trying to find the word.
Okay.
I don't say they get lost in their ego. It's not that they get lost in their ego. It's almost like because they've been a lot of people have been so subconsciously programmed by Christianity, the more brainwashed side of Christianity. There's also a very beautiful side of Christianity. It's just not taught properly.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't come from their religious background and do the proper work to release themselves from what Christianity taught them. And then they come over to the occult or spiritual side with the same teachings. And then that's when they run into all types of problems, is what I'm trying to explain. But the positive side of it are there's individuals like me, you, and others that I've met, very beautiful individuals that do shine a light in the collective, almost like they're lighthouses when everyone is lost.
Yeah, I think that, and I've noticed a couple spiritualists, Dr. Vanessa Brooks, she's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And this other lady, I can't think of her name, but she's been on there with Dr. Vanessa Brooks. And they are big on deconstructing from religion. And I think that's important because, of course, when you bring in other religious systems, they will jump on all over it because they're kind of used to those type of systems. It just has a different name on it. And so you do have to let that go. I know, like with myself, I haven't went to church for years. So, it wasn't as bad. But it seems, though, if I had to just assume from observation, and I say assume because I could not know. I haven't talked to these people that we see do these things. But from what it seems is they tend to lean to the things that are going to get them views. Now, is that bad? Not necessarily if it's like a bait type of thing. So you're baiting and switching. Let me bring you in this way so I can give you this message this way. But, you know, that's a whole balancing act in itself. So I don't know. I've noticed, what do you think about this? And then we're going to get into how your awakening came about. Yesterday, I watched this movie with Lauren London and this other guy. He's a white guy. They have a movie out together. It's a new movie. And then I was watching them. And the overtone of the movie yesterday was basically like two people you can be in an interrelation, what do you call that? Interracial relationship. But because our lives are so different and all the biases and the pains and the ignorance and programming and stuff like that, it makes it complicated for even those around you to receive it. And this thing that I'm watching today was kind of showing the difficulties that Black people had coming into like white neighborhoods and stuff like that, and the different abuses that they went through and just how outlandish it was. And I noticed that I think there's a reason for that frequency being put out here, because we're still, even in the spiritual community, there is a lot of talk about race. And part of me feels like, I mean, we can't erase what's happening. Even if we don't stick to the history part, right? The programming of it. Let's not even get into the facts. There are what we have been taught or what has been passed down to us and stuff like that. But even the programming of it, it is kind of divisive. Is it that spiritualists should we be encouraging to let this stuff go for the progression of the planet, or is it okay also to take the approach that, hey, we're over here, you're over there, we can love and respect each other, but we all have our lanes and let's stay in them? Like, what do you think about that?
I have never met a deity that went, I don't want to conversate with you, you're Black.
Okay.
They come to me like, oh, you have a strong light. You have a good energy. Let me come over here for a second. Spirit does not see race. Granted, don't get me wrong, because I've come across a lot of particularly white people that come to me and go, oh, can I work with this deity? They reach out. Can I work with this particular practice because of this lineage or this past life? And as much as a lot of progressives and politically correct spiritualists like to say, no, you can't. Honestly, to me, I don't care. It's your practice. It's your life. Here's how I like to put it. The one thing that's really guaranteed for all of us on this planet is that we're going back to the spirit realm. The only thing we need to answer to, whatever you choose to believe in and who you need to answer to, is you and that particular energy. You, God, you to yourself, you and spirit, you and whatever deity you worship, you and whatever religion you worship. That's your personal relationship. Some spirits that come to me, because when I do talk to people on a face-to-face, sometimes I also have a spirit team. And, sometimes they'll tell me to tell them certain advice because they generally need guidance and they're so lost. Sometimes I don't do that out of their protection. But if I get told to, sure, I'll do it. Or if I feel right to do it, I'll do it. But all in all, I tell people if I feel as though they can handle what I tell them. Because if I feel as though you can't handle information that you're seeking, I will tell you, hey, you're not meant to go down this path for so-and-so reason, just to protect you. Because once you get to a certain type of information on this path, there's no taking that away. You get what I'm saying? So I don't like to say I'm some sort of gatekeeper, but at the same time, I understand that if you're subconsciously and unconsciously showing me through your body language and vocabulary that you can't handle certain information, even though you're consciously telling me, hey, I want to know this, I'm not going to tell you.
Right.
Now, if you stumble upon that information yourself, great, cool. But I'm not going to be the one to do that because I see that you're not ready. And I know I can already feel people going, oh, who are you to say I'm not ready? Exactly. Use that energy, use that anger to go find your answer. I told you no for a reason.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So for me, I tell people do whatever they want because that's what I did in my practice. I did whatever I want. I bumped my head a lot and I'm still here. That's why I'm out with wisdom. So I can tell you what I learned. You might not want to go down this road because, hey, this happened to me, but if you still want to do it, go ahead.
Most definitely. And I do want to make clear that this is not about discrimination. It's really about information because I really think that we should be able to live cohesively. And I do believe, and I've always said that there are people, interesting people or bad people, whatever you want to call them, workers of the dark, in every sector of people. You know, it's not just white, it's not just black, it's not just Arab and Indian, Native, whatever, Mexican. Everybody has some cuckoo quacks in their groups. That's just what it is. So I think it would be to our benefit, especially with us trying to evolve, to let the guards down in the judgments, because everything really, to me, starts with fear. A lot of this stuff is fear-based. I mean, because if it wasn't fear-based, what are you worried about? You know, I mean, go ahead.
Sorry, Mr.
No.
Here's what I also know. Here's also another reason why I tell, especially white folks that come to me, especially around APRs and stuff, that try and get my quote-unquote blessing to go practice, even though I'm not initiated in it, which is weird to me, but whatever folks to go, that's done. What I've also noticed is a lot of those spirits in those practices will entice them to go there just to pay them back. So that's why I'm like, go ahead, do whatever you want. Because don't get me wrong, there are some white people that work with Oshun, and they're perfectly fine. My roommates were one of them. They were perfectly okay.
Okay.
But others, they get messed up really badly. And I mean, bad. I've seen it. Some get blessed, some get messed up. So that's why I say it all depends. Because again, I can only guide you. I can't tell you what to do. So if I say no, that was for a reason. That was for a divine purpose. But you might go to someone else that tells you yes, and then you get all the information you need. That's also another thing I don't like about the spiritual community, and why I don't accept that role or title of teacher is because you get looked at in a certain light where if you don't have the answers in there, then you're fake. It's like, no, I just know my limitations sometimes. Right. Sometimes I haven't studied that subject yet. I have other masters around me. Like, I'm not that strong in Reiki. But guess what? If you come to me about Reiki, I know a Reiki master I can reach out to that I trust and does the good work that can help you out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, we all.
So
yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, that was me.
Also why. That's also why when you're saying how people should stay in their lane, I don't really believe that. I understand like there's certain boundaries that shouldn't be technically crossed, but there shouldn't be super hard limits either, because everyone has something to share at the end of the day.
Right.
Like, I've learned a lot of great tips from white witches. A lot of different just everyday cleaning tips, things that furthered my path. And it was all love at the end of the day. Half the time, I didn't even think they saw me as black. To be honest. Because, you know, sometimes you could tell who has that filter that sees your race before they see you as a person.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times, the ones I'm coming in contact with, they're like, you're an interesting one. Like, they see my life, and I see theirs. And it's all love at the end of the day.
And
that's what I really want the spiritual community to focus back on, not them being right or wrong, or who's more spiritual or who's more powerful. Can we focus more back on love?
Oh, yeah. I'm in agreement.
And then we can dissect what that means to all of us individually. I'm not saying one huge conscious idea of love. Just go into the energy of love and see how that works for you. And then we go from there.
I'm in agreement. I did, to your point, I don't know if you saw that TikTok going around or where they were saying that a Caucasian woman had summoned Papa Legba, I believe, and she passed away. So, you know, I didn't really think too much into it, but I was just like, oh, okay, wow. I believe that spirituality, we get so hung up on the aesthetics and what it looks like and what it should be. And I think we forget that it's an individual thing, right? And in as much as we are able to help one another, because that's what we should do, we should, fellowshipping is important, but at the end of the day, you should be listening to your spirit. You know what I'm saying? Because your experiences are different than mine, and mine different than his and she's, and you know what I'm saying, and so on and so forth. So, I think it's been a lot going on in the spiritual community, that there's this like a superiority complex, and what we don't want to do is turn it into another religion. You know,
and I'm already seeing that solidified too, which is why I kind of started making my own collective, but I also make it constantly clear that I'm not here to lead you. I'm here to not mold you, but I'm here to guide you to be your own individual back to self. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. So let's take it back a bit. When did your spiritual awakening begin? What let you know that you were awakening?
Trigger warning for people. It's going to get a little dark.
Oh, wow. Really?
I was at a very low point. I was in middle school where I started, one thing I can remember was I was constantly remembering having this panic attack about dying. And I couldn't figure out what the fuck was triggering it at all. I was just like, why? Like, all of a sudden I was conscious that I was alive, and all of a sudden I was conscious that I was going to die one day. I had no idea what it was. It just kept happening. It was weird. And then things just started going more and more darker to where I was aware that something wasn't right in my family at all. I just couldn't pinpoint it. I was basically dissociating most of my childhood, which has effects today, but we'll digress from that part. So I was a very suicidal teen, preteen, things like that. And one day I was in the bathroom because I would go to the bathroom and, you know, just cut my arms and stuff because I was just so overwhelmed and shit and couldn't understand. I couldn't I wanted just some form of relief, basically.
Okay.
And one time I was doing it in the bathroom. All I heard was, "Hey, can you stop doing that?" I thought someone was in the bathroom with me. Understand, it wasn't a multiple stall bathroom. It was just like a regular single bathroom. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
So I was like, "What the fuck?" So I just stopped right then and there, and I just went back to class and put my sleeve up and stuff like that. And a couple of days after that, because we were also this was also around the time where my parents were fighting on the verge of divorce, and the house was just in disarray and stuff. My little brother was born, and my brother was getting worse in his alcoholism. And so I started hanging out with more of like the bad crowd and things like that at school. And then one day, as I was searching the web, I came across Satanism. I was like, huh, this is interesting. Why not? So I was scrolling and stuff. They were saying, oh, join the army and things like that, etc. I'm like, okay, why not? So I stumbled upon not the historic side of Satanism, but I stumbled upon the more spiritual side where we talked to the demons and stuff.
Okay.
So this is also around the time I was dating some guy. So we're fast forwarding over to like early days in high school now, not middle school. And when I heard the voice, that was when I was in middle school, but now we're fast forwarding over to early days of high school, about freshman year.
Okay.
So I'm scrolling and I found the Satanism site and I found the particular ritual, the same, where you gave your soul to Satan and etc. So I'm thinking, oh, he takes my soul, I die, something else is in my body, and, I'm free from all the bullshit I'm dealing with currently. So I find this abandoned building that I used to hang out with all the people, all the bad influences, but this time no one was there. It was just me. So I did the lovely ritual there. I set the seance. I did the bloodletting, because they said you needed a bit of blood and your candle, etc. And then I set the thing. And I was sitting there being basically prepared to die. So that's really how I came more into my awakening, because I was just prepared to go. That was kind of my form of suicide in a sense.
Oh, that's deep.
And, but that's not what happened during the ritual. All I heard was access denied. And we're not allowed to, like, they literally was like, we're not allowed to take you. And I'm
Satanist
like,
community?
what?
I mean, the Satanist spirit
Yeah,
realm? Satanic
yeah,
spirit
when I was
realm?
doing the ritual.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was doing the ritual, the voice that came from the ritual was like, access denied, we're not allowed to take you.
Mm.
And I'm like, why not? And I will remember this till I probably end up on my deathbed. They were like, a demon's not allowed to harm another demon. And I'm like, what? Then all of a sudden, I felt like this really dark presence. And all of a sudden, the demon, ANRAZ, I don't work with him anymore. We recently ended our contract after 10 years. But this is where I'm telling you the story of when I first met my demon guardian, ANRAZ, basically. And so he appeared, and the first thing he said to me was, milk and cookies. I busted out laughing.
He was asking for an offering?
I'm sitting here, huh?
He was asking for an offering?
For 2 years, that's all he said to me. And after like year 3, that's when I fully put it together. That's what he was asking of me to give him. So I was sitting there busting out laughing because I'm like, so let me get this straight. I did this entire ritual just for me to hear demons say milk and cookies? Really? I gained the ability of telepathy just to hear milk and cookies? So that is how my awakening kind of started. It kind of started as a suicide act. But as you can see, I'm still here, so it did not work.
Wow. So after you offered the milk and cookies, then what?
Oh, no, I never offered him milk and cookies.
Oh, okay.
Eventually, he got tired of asking me, so we just started talking to me normally. He's like, so... He just started talking to me one day. He's like, so how's your day going? I'm like, oh, you say something other than milk and cookies now. That's interesting. That's nice. Again, I was an angsty teenager, so I would just talk to them any type of way with no real regard for, oh my goodness, I'm talking to something that's not physically here and it could possibly do whatever to me. It never crossed my mind. That's how I would say done with life I was. It wasn't like I was so in touch with my gift. It was kind of like I don't care anymore.
Mm. Man.
Which actually got me farther in this path more than anything. Which is why I could probably see that this was probably divinely guided.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, some good things come out of going through the trenches, baby. That's that's for sure. I know that's hard for people to understand, but yeah. So with that being said, and I've asked another person this, so I just want to get your take on this as well. When it comes to working with deities and things like that, spirits or whatever, how important is the offering?
When you're first starting out, it's important. The reason why I'm able to talk like this about the deities is because I built this strong connection with them to where they're basically almost literally friends on the other side, to where I don't even have to go, hey, Aphrodite, I need help with this. Aphrodite will just walk right up to me when I have a problem, like, hey, you need some help? Like, you know how when a friend calls you because, like, they feel something in their spirit to call you?
Yeah.
That takes time to work up to. So I would say if you're first starting out, trying to reach out to a deity, and how you choose to reach out to a deity, it really depends again. It depends on how your intuition feels. If you feel as though you need to get initiated first in that particular practice to contact that deity, I suggest you do that. If you feel as though you just need to research them and understand the history and the background they come from, you do that. I would not say allow more of a human intervention because you don't know if that's coming for your protection or if that's coming to stop you in this day and age.
Okay.
Because I've come across a lot of people that told me that I'm not talking to Baron Zombie, I'm not doing this, when literally he shows me signs on the daily that, yeah, you're talking to me, stop listening to these idiots, because they're going to fuck up your path, and I don't got time for it.
Oh, wow.
He has said that to me. He's very ruthless. He does not play. I have met so many different people that said, I'm not initiated into practice, but Baron Zombie came to me. I'm like, oh, yeah, he did. And he probably sent you to me to confirm that he did.
Man.
So you can stop playing. Because he has no qualms knocking you over the head. But again, what were we saying?
No, go ahead, and then I'll ask my question. I don't want to cut you off.
Okay. But also, there's also this thing that I've seen some spirituals talk about where it comes to trickster spirits. And I'm kind of iffy on that because, yes, I've had run over trickster spirits, but if you properly do the research that you need, that your spirit, that your already solidified team is telling you, because your spirit team will also make sure that when a new deity is trying to come talk to you, that you do the proper precautions so that you're not messed up. But it's your job to listen to them. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying if you're just reaching out to Baron Zombie and you're not doing any research, yeah, you deserve that trickster spirit. Because you're allowed to question these energies. Yeah. Are you willing to is the question.
So here, okay. One thing, my thing is, and I've said this before, but you never know who's listening when they're popping in the podcast. It's nothing wrong with being redundant with some things. Me running around to the store to get liquor and these food items and that food, I feel like that could become really taxing, especially when you already have a lot of responsibilities. So I kind of, I'm kind of I'm cautionary when it comes to that. And also, what was I about to say? It slipped my mind. Maybe it wasn't meant for me to say. But, I mean, I guess you could just comment to that. I mean, have you had that experience, or does it get that out of order where it's just like it's exhausting? Like, I got to stop this. I got to do this. I got to do that. when it comes to offerings.
Yeah, it does. That's why I say you need to build. So it's like any other relationship. That's why, like we talked about earlier, deprogramming yourself from Christianity and wherever religious background you've come from. Because I know specifically in the Christian faith, you're not allowed to question God.
Right.
With these deities, you're allowed to tell them no. And that's what I had to learn. So specifically, me working with Santa Morte. She's known for being the jealous one, like wanting to just be in control of your entire spiritual journey. Because, she's deaf, the beginning and the end. So, that energetically lines up and makes sense. But with my relationship with Santa Morte, I have to tell her no. Because one, I work with different deities. I work with different energies that need my attention for different reasons in my practice, or me helping different people. Some people I help are Aphrodite deities. Some people I help are Lakshmi deities, things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with Santa Morte, sometimes she'll be like, Mijo, can you get me some wine? Knowing it's Aphrodite's week for me to get her wine. I'm like, no, Sanjeeva, you know the rules. You're allowed to set rules with your deities, who you're either devoted to, who you're working with at the time, etc., because they will try to overstep their boundaries.
Mm.
That's why it's okay for you when you're first even contacting these deities. You're like, hey, this is my list of things I don't want to put up with. That's why I say research is important, not just researching the history of these deities. Reach out to their devotees who are currently working with them as well, so you can get a perspective of how it is working with them. That's why I encourage people in my Vigilant Owls group and whoever wants to consider themselves an owl to do all-round research. It's not just going to the book. We're also talking to the people in that particular culture and religion if they're willing to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that so that you can also figure out the signs. Hey, is this deity reaching out to me? Hey, is this sign matching up with what this person says? And that's how you also find out if something's a closed practice or not, and why it's a closed practice, or just understanding the inner workings of why you're getting told no. Because sometimes it's not that culture's protecting its magic. Sometimes it's protecting you, your safety.
Right.
And that's what I want people to understand when they're researching. That's why a lot of people probably don't even want to deprogram from their Christianity background when getting into this work, because it's safe.
Yeah.
And one thing is,
No, I said for sure. I was just agreeing with you. Mm-hmm.
Oh, gotcha. If no one gets anything from this podcast interview, I want y'all to know that you need to get very comfortable with being uncomfortable if you're going to thrive in this path. You have to. Because spirit will test you. And if you fail, you might fall harder than if you would have just trusted yourself and just went through the journey. Because there is a point of no return in this path. And I've seen a lot of people that just jumped on this because of trends and everything, starting to see that.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to just pace yourself, you know what I'm saying, and let things come to you, or pay attention what you're being led to. But, being an eager beaver, sometimes you can get into some stuff. And see, and I do want to make clear for those listening, I am not discouraging anyone from working with deities. That's not what I'm doing. I'm really just giving a very informed insight on the whole situation.
I don't want to scare anyone from deity work.
Yeah.
Not at all. I just wanted to give you the realistic perspective, because that's also another thing with when you ask me that question of my thoughts on the spiritual community. Mm-hmm. They don't tell the full story, which gets a lot of people messed up.
Yeah.
Like, y'all have to be more honest about how painful, even, yes, this path is amazing, it's beautiful, you see so many things that you wish your friends, family, and everyone can see. One, not everyone's meant to see them, and two, y'all need to be honest with the spiritual babies that want to come into this or are coming into the awakening. Y'all have to. Because if you're not honest with them, you're actually going to be hindering their path more than actually helping them. And I've seen people that have hindered people's spiritual path get all types of messed up because of it.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to be interfering with... Yeah, baby. I think we have a
like, there's not a lot of...
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, real quick before you say what you're going to say. I've seen a lot of people, the spirit realm does not really punish you for your earthly crimes when you cross over, but they will punish you when you try and stop their quote-unquote gravy train. Like, if you're stopping one of their descendants from spiritually growing, stopping their spiritual light, you can get really messed up for that. Because then you're preventing the people that need to come before them. You're stopping their progress. You're stopping their learning experience. It's almost like you going on the train and someone jumps on the train track and then stops the rest of the trains behind you. Almost considered a war crime, now that I think about it.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way. So my question then becomes, too, with the whole... And the reason why I said I don't want to discourage people when it comes to working with deities is not about anything you said. It's about me. Just, my approach to it. And I have no issue with it. I found out recently some things about who rocks with me and on my team. But another thing is, it's like, if we're supposed to be discovering our power, okay, so like in Christianity, right, one of the biggest problems is people yielding their power to this belief, right? And I feel like, in a way, these whole working with deities and different spirits, it can appear to look like you're yielding your power to them, because it seems like, some people feel like they can't get things done spiritually without them. And to my understanding, like, we're pretty powerful. We're just in human vessels, but on the other side of this, we are pretty powerful. So what is your take on that?
On people not being able to use deities?
Like, is it like kind of yielding your power, or is it necessary? Or does it need to be a balance? Like, what does that look like? How does that work?
How Spirit taught me, and other people could have a different experience with it, how Spirit taught me was there has to be a balance.
Okay.
Because there are some times where you just have to figure out things spiritually on your own, and other times where you can call upon them to help you out. Okay. So it's like, also one experience was I was getting more and more used to just calling on different energies when I needed certain things. And then one day I'd call them and they wouldn't show up. And they'll be like, you have to figure this out on your own. And energy-wise, you feel almost depleted when they leave. Like, you can't do anything without them. And they don't want you to be in that space. Because deities, even though they are a powerful external feeling, they're still an aspect of you. They're still an aspect of your subconscious. So you eventually have to learn, basically, how I've seen different spirituals explain it is, your energy is what powers your car, and the car gets you where you need to go. So I would say, let's say Aphrodite is the car and your energy is what's needed to power that car. It's still your energy getting you to your destination, whether you're aware of it or not.
Okay.
So when Aphrodite doesn't work, when that particular energy doesn't work for you, you can just take the car battery out and go put it in another one, and you'll be running smoothly. For whatever reason, she's not working.
Okay.
So there does need to be a balance, because there's some, because deities can only go spiritually so far. I would say like there's a spiritual glass ceiling when it comes to deities. They're only here on a specific plane of existence. And as you're leaving, as you're getting more evolved to hit higher cosmic planes, they can't really go with you. So you have to build up your own spiritual energy, because they can only carry you so far in a certain point in your path. That's at least what I experienced.
That makes good sense, and I really appreciate how you break things down. I really do. You're really good at that. So what it sounds like to me is basically that you shouldn't become codependent. You can utilize them.
They don't want that.
Okay. So you guys...
Because once you become codependent, this is what a lot of people aren't either aware of or honest about.
Mm-hmm.
If you become codependent on these energies, they will take advantage of you.
Oh, yeah. I can believe it.
They're going to take advantage of you, because you basically need to stand up for yourself in the spirit realm. So that's why a lot of people say, oh, you don't have to work with this energy because it's all your energy. In a sense, they are right. But sometimes you don't want to just send that spiritual energy. Because don't get me wrong, working with external influences like Aphrodite and things like that, it's less energy taxed, and you don't feel as drained because you have that middleman.
Okay.
But the problem is that middleman right there can take advantage of you if you're not on top of them. Kind of like how you need to stay on top of your work contract, or if you find to a lady, you have to stay on top of your percentages, make sure your management team doesn't get more than you.
Okay.
Kind of like that.
Wow. Man, you bringing up some good points. You really are. This is really good. I mean, because this is stuff that people need to know, you know, and
the crazy...
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, and the crazy thing, as you were saying that people need to know, it blows my mind every day that people don't know this. That's what blows my mind, and why I generally just started talking and helping people. Because it's like, how don't you know? I literally came into my awakening already knowing this, in a sense. It's not like I came into my awakening. Like, I know different people was like, oh, I woke up. It feels like a breath of fresh air. Me, I feel like I've been sleeping forever. And I'm finally like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Are y'all okay? What happened to y'all? That's how my awakening felt.
You're just that powerful. Everybody is not on the same level. You just, you know, you're that powerful. What I was going to say earlier is, when it comes to this whole thing and the creators that come forth, we have to stop operating out of, and I say we loosely. I'm not talking about you and I, but I'm just saying we in regards to the community have to get out of being. I think they want to teach the bubblegum stuff because that's what people are looking for. And to a degree, if you tell people the truth, it frees them, right? And then there's a thought that they don't need you. So I give you this little bubblegum stuff. Now you want something deeper. Come book with me. And nothing's wrong with that. But I think that we should be helping people in a way that they graduate and move forward. We shouldn't be like the church. Just keep coming to me to the day you die and pay tithes. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a lot of the same stuff going on. And maybe people aren't seeing that, and that's fair, but that's why I'm bringing it up. We don't need to hinder people and enable people due to financial reasons, because even that I think is counterproductive. Are you going to believe that you're going to get your abundance or not? You know, are you going to have trust or not? Or do you want to manipulate people for this thing? And then two, again, people want views, you know, and some of this stuff we want to present this stuff like it's Disney. And I mean, Disney works for what Disney is doing. In Disney and different programming, they present things to you certain ways, you know, like the Sandman and Supernatural and different stuff we've seen come out. They have their truths and they're telling things. They also commercialize at the same time. But the point of getting into this work and speaking is because we want people to know the truth. And how can you want to live in a world that is with truth, that is based in truth and in a just world, and you're not even exhibiting that? It doesn't make sense. You know, so we've got to hold ourselves accountable for the things that we want. We have to be walking in that, on that trajectory. You can't want a better world and you're not trying to be part of that better world.
Yeah.
So I really think, you know, that is important. I know you have had some exhausting last couple days. So we can definitely bring this to a close now and resume on another day. I thank everybody for listening. It was a lot packed into this interview, a lot of powerful things. So make sure that you're liking. Make sure you give comments. Go ahead and throw your questions to Owl if you like in the comments. I will make sure that she sees them. And maybe we can come back and answer those questions. That could be part of an episode as well. Make sure you're sharing this. Share these. When you're sharing this, one thing I'm going to say, because a lot of us say share, 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 share. Please share this with people that will receive it. It doesn't make sense to send this to people that they're just going to be like, what? You know, you got to send this to people that will receive it, that it helps. They're looking for information like this. But definitely comment, like, and share. I thank you guys so much for listening. And again, before we get out of here, Al, if you want to shout out your social media again, and I'm going to put it down in the comments, so it'll be there as well. But go ahead and shout out your social media.
So if y'all want some funny skits from me, you can follow me at TikTok at owl_wisdom369. If you want a bit more hands-on, one-on-one conversations with me, you can follow me on Facebook and go to my Vigilant Owls group. There's about 70 people there. It's a picture of an owl, and just message me like, hey, Owl, I've seen you from podcasts or TikTok, and I want to join your group. And please be sure you have to answer my Facebook questions, because I'm not, because like I said, I'm a shadow worker. I work with a lot of very darker and intense energies, and I want to create a safe nest for people to express that. I am a safe place for stillness and peace. So if you cannot handle that, I do not suggest you come over here.
That's why I love Owl. She's straight to the point, very direct. She doesn't bullshit around. My type of chick. Thanks again for everybody listening. We will see you next time. Love you and goodbye.